Okay, let's look at the assignment that y'all did yesterday. So determine if the sequence is arithmetic. So remember, to be arithmetic, it has to have an add or subtract by the same number each time that you go from one to the next. Okay, so check and see which ones would be a yes, which ones would be a no. And you need to explain why. So if it's adding or subtracting by a certain number, you'd write, because the common difference is this. If it's multiplied or divided by a certain number, you'd say it is not arithmetic because it's multiplied by this number each time. For 5, remember I made a mistake on there, and that's 13, and you're writing the next 4 terms in the sequence. So make sure you do that. Okay, let's look at 7 through 12. Do y'all have any that you want me to work out? Okay, let's do 12. Okay, so I need to write the formula up here. So AN equals A1 plus N minus 1 times D. That's your arithmetic sequence formula. So in order to write the formula, you need your A1, which is your first term, and D, which is your common difference. Once you have those terms, plug it in, distribute the D, and then simplify. So number 12, A1 is our first term. This is A1, 0.4. And then D is our common difference. So you got to see what is being added to 0.4 to get 8.5. So to see what's being added, you subtract 8.5 and 0.4, and it comes out 8.1. So our pattern is plus 8.1. But just to make sure it's arithmetic, we're going to make sure that this is also, you do 8.5 plus 8.1. So I'm going to subtract 16.6 minus 8.1. And I get 8.5. So that is my common difference. That's the pattern. So we have the two things we need. Now we're going to plug it in that formula. Remember, AN equals A1 plus N minus 1 times D. So we'll plug in the A1 and the D. So AN equals A1, 0.4, plus N minus 1 times 8.1. So we need to distribute the 8.1 in, so I have 0.4 plus 8.1 in. And then negative 1 times 8.1 is minus 8.1. And now I need to simplify, so I just carry down the 8.1 in. And then I combine the 0.4 and the 8.1, negative 8.1. 0.4 minus 8.1, that's negative 7.7. So that's the formula, but it also says find the 22nd term for the sequence. So we're going to do A22. So we're going to plug in 22 for n. So that'd be 8.1 times 22 minus 7.7. To get the 22nd term. 8.1 times 2.2 minus 7.7. Not 2.2. Whoops. $170.5. So our 22nd term, which is called A22, equals 170.5. So we'll have two answers on each of these on 7 through 12. Okay, now we need to do the back side because we learned about the graphs and how the graphs relate to arithmetic. So go ahead and do 13. Complete the table and graph the pattern. Okay, so you should have completed this. X is like your number of rows. Y is like your number of dots. So we could say that this is X, number of rows. That's just what I want you to add. This already has Y, which is number of dots. Okay, let's do number 16. For 14 through 16, it says graph the arithmetic sequence. So we're going to do 16. So this is our sequence. So it's 15 over 2, 13 over 2, 11 over 2, 9 over 2. So this is my first term. This is my second term, third term, fourth term. So I could rewrite this as a table of values. X is our number of terms, or AN. And then Y is what it actually is. This should actually say just N, and this is AN. N is your number of terms. So on the first term, it's 15 over 2. But if I'm going to graph this, I really need to know what the decimal is. So let's divide 15 by 2. 7.5. So I'm going to write this as, the first term is 7.5. Second term, third term, and fourth term. Go ahead and write down what those terms are. So 13 over 2, 6.5, 11 over 2, 5.5, 9 over 2, so this would be our pattern. What's our pattern? -1, subtracting 1 each time. We are going to graph this on the coordinate grid, so this is how I want you to do it. We're only using quadrant 1 because everything's positive here. So go ahead and make your X and Y axis darker. And have it where it meets here. So you can still see quadrant. There's quadrant 2, 3, and 4. This is quadrant 1. Before we start plotting the points, we need to know what the X's and Y's go by. So this starts out at 0. So what should we go by on the X's? What would be easiest? Yeah, let's just do 1. Then what about the Y's? We look here and see that the most is 7.5. So this is also 10. So we can go by 1s again. And now we plug in or plot the point. So 175. That means I'm going to go over 1 and up 7.5. Over 1, up 7.5. 2 will be over 2, up to 6.5. 3, up 5.5. 4, up 4.5. Would we be able to continue this? What would 5 be at? 3.5. What would 6 be at? 2.5. 7 and 8. And then what about the 0? What would that go up to? 8.5. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do for the rest of the class period is just finish this assignment. Once you finish it, you can turn it in.